Cyber Monday is here. Our best deal of the year continues. Get 50% off new DailyWire Plus annual memberships, including All Access, where you can join me live for exclusive weekly Q&As. Go to dailywire.com/Cyber Monday. Become a member today. While notable Democrats are disowning their conservative family members, some liberal women are going so far as to sterilize themselves to get back at mean old Daddy Trump. I'm Michael Knowles. This is The Michael Knowles Show. Welcome back to the show. The Women of Wicked, you know the old Broadway musical that became a movie? The Women of Wicked have just put on the greatest caricature and parody of leftist Hollywood I've ever seen. We will get to that in a moment. First, though, speaking of Cyber Monday, you need to go to thecandleclub.com. You need to go to The Candle Club and you need to get this candle, the Wise Man Candle, which is the perfect candle for Advent. It is a candle that we first launched a version of during Lent. We called it Smells and Bells. It is the best candle I've ever smelled. I was actually just sitting here before my show. I said, wow, I didn't even have the candle lit. I just thought, wow, something smells really, really nice. Oh, right, that's my candle, the Wise Man Candle. There are other really good ones too, but this one's the best. There's no question about it. So on this very lovely Cyber Monday, make sure you go to thecandleclub.com. Get my favorite candle, the Wise Man Candle. Also, you can get my seasonal favorite, my seasonal offering, rather, the chestnut candle, so that when you light it, you will have chestnuts roasting on an open fire. You get 30% off every hand-poured candle, and you get to support family values and all the great stuff that you support. So go to thecandleclub.com today. Before we get to anything else, do you remember when Joe Biden's administration said that there was no chance that he would pardon his son Hunter over the many crimes that Hunter not only committed, but filmed himself committed and wrote messages to other people and for himself about having committed crimes that we have an entire hard drive full of evidence that he committed? If you do not remember that, I will refresh your memory. I will take you back to July 28th, 2023. Here is the White House press secretary.
Let me go back to the first question of the briefing. I know you said not a lot's changed since yesterday and that it's a personal matter, but from a presidential perspective, is there any possibility that the president would end up pardoning his son?
No.
Well, is there?
I just said no. I just answered. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Yesterday, Joe Biden released this statement from the White House. Today, I signed a pardon for my son, Hunter. There is no chance, full stop, no exceptions. Joe Biden will not pardon his son. Fast forward a little over a year. Today, I signed a pardon for my son, Hunter. He goes on. From the day I took office, I said I would not interfere with the Justice Department's decision-making, and I kept my word, even as I have watched my son being selectively and unfairly prosecuted. Give me a break. I've kept my word until now. But now I'm going to interfere. It is clear that Hunter was treated differently, Joe Biden says. That's true. That is 100% true. Hunter was treated differently. Anyone else who committed the crimes that Hunter Biden committed would have been prosecuted 10 years ago for those crimes, because the crimes that Hunter Biden would appear to have committed and that we would appear to have written and even video evidence in some cases of his having committed are not only sex crimes and drug crimes and petty street level crimes, but also selling state influence, also raising money from unsavory characters and peddling the introduction to his father, who was then the vice president of the United States, acting as bagman for the Biden family, apparently money laundering. We're talking to the tune of millions and millions of dollars, in addition to all the other stuff. And what was he ever prosecuted for? He was prosecuted for some low-level gun crime. He filled out a gun purchase form wrong, and for filing his taxes incorrectly. They didn't even go after the really serious tax crimes. It was a joke. He was treated differently. He was given much more lenient treatment than anyone else would have been, anyone else who did not have the last name Biden. In any case, Biden goes on. Here's the actual meat of the pardon. A full and unconditional pardon for those offenses against the United States which he has committed or may have committed or taken part in during the period from January 1st, 2014 through December 1st, 2024. Hold on. Wait. If you're telling me that Joe is pardoning Hunter for some tax issues and for filling out a gun form incorrectly, why wouldn't he date it exactly to the day that he filled out the gun form, for instance? Why cover this whole decade-long, more than a decade-long period? That doesn't make... Oh, right, because that's the period during which Hunter Biden served on the board of Burisma, the Ukrainian oil and gas company. Burisma, a company that had no reason to hire Hunter Biden other than Biden's connection to Joe Biden, the then Vice President of the United States, who was the point man on Ukraine policy. Ukraine, one of the most corrupt countries in the even semi-civilized world, paid off the Biden family. Hunter does not speak Ukrainian, does not have any particular knowledge of oil or natural gas. There was no reason to put him on the board other than that. So it's covering any crimes that he might have committed, in addition to all the crazy sex stuff and all the crazy drug stuff and all the rest of it. How are the liberal media covering this? Politico does the meme. Politico reports, Republicans pounce on Biden pardoning his son Hunter. That's the story, of course. The story is not that the White House lied, just lied directly to the American people, said Joe will not pardon Hunter Biden. Oh yeah, he pardoned Hunter Biden. The story is Republicans criticize him pardoning Hunter Biden for all the crimes he committed. But I have a deeply unpopular take. Do you want to hear it, or do you want to... I don't even know if you want to hear it. My deeply unpopular take is, yeah, okay, whatever, good on Joe. Whatever. He pardoned his son. There are two takes you're going to hear about this. The first one is going to say, it's wonderful that Joe Biden pardoned his son. He's such a good, doting, wonderful father. This is an example of great virtue. How dare you ever criticize Biden? That's what you're going to hear from the Democrats. From the Republicans, you're going to hear Joe Biden's a terrible father. This has nothing to do with his care for his only surviving son, Hunter. This is only because Hunter was the bag man for the Biden family. And so Joe's really just protecting himself, because if Hunter goes down, Hunter's going to take Joe with him, because Hunter was paying at least 10% to the big guy, maybe half of all of his earnings to the big guy, depending on what you believe in the Hunter Biden laptop. My view is, yeah, of course he's going to pardon his son. And in a way, I do think there's a certain virtue to being loyal to your family and pardoning your son, even taking away the individual personal ways in which Joe Biden is going to benefit from that. Yeah, okay, of course. I guess my reaction is just, yes, of course, that's going to happen. That was always going to happen. Oh, Joe Biden lied? Oh, wow. You're one of the most prolific liars in American politics of the last half century. He lied again? Wow. Stop the presses. You're kidding me. Yeah, of course he was going to pardon his son. And I think it's actually, sometimes it's good to look at for your boy. I think that's good. If we really believe in family, listen, Fredo, you're my brother and I love you, but never take sides against the family again. If you really believe in that stuff, yeah, okay, it's good to use what authority you have to maybe extend a little grace to your boy. There is a world in which, let's say your kid gets busted for drugs. He's 18 years old or something, and you make him sleep it off in jail. There is an argument that it is good for people to face the consequences of their actions. It's actually helpful to them. It's almost medicinal. This is the argument that Plato makes in Gorgias, in the mouth of Socrates. And sure, that's true. In this case, though, one, is Hunter really going to reform any more than he has? Probably not. Two, was this always in the cards? Three, is Biden looking out for himself? Yeah, sure. I just think Hunter was never even prosecuted for the serious crimes, as I mentioned before. And I guess the other reason why I'm not pulling my hair out over this pardon is not only because I always expected it would happen. I think anyone with two brain cells to rub together had to know this was going to happen. I guess the consolation about it for me is this exposes the Democrats as being crooked, self-dealing, and sanctimonious liars. There is no argument they can make. They've been running for years now on how no one is above the law. Joe Biden tweeted that out. No one's above the law except for my son. And me, maybe, because I'm implicated in his crimes. No one's above the law. We shouldn't be doling out patronage. We shouldn't be nepotistic. Joe Biden is all of these things. This was a final shiv to the Democrat Party. Had Kamala won, probably Kamala would have pardoned Hunter. There would have been a lot of pressure for Kamala to pardon Hunter. If the Democrat Party had not totally stabbed Joe Biden in the back and overthrown him, maybe Joe would have taken some lesser action, maybe not given a full pardon, but just commuted his sentence or something like that. But in this case, he says, "No, forget about it. If you're going to send me down, I'm going to bring down the whole Democrat Party with me. Forget you guys." This will help Republicans, at least in the midterms. People's memories aren't all that long, so maybe it doesn't help them in 28. It will help them in the midterms. But then there's one more question, practically speaking. If you are President Trump, if you are the DOJ coming in under President Trump, the question is this: can Joe Biden offer this kind of pardon to his son? This isn't just a pardon for the crimes that Hunter was convicted of. This is a pardon spanning a decade for any crime, any federal crime that Hunter Biden might have committed. Does the president have that authority? It's happened one time. Well, not this kind of pardon has not happened ever. But one time you did have a president pardoning someone for a crime that he might have committed but wasn't indicted for. There actually been a few times, but one that was really notable, and that was Jerry Ford pardoning Richard Nixon. Richard Nixon was about to be impeached. He resigns the presidency, and Jerry Ford gives him a pardon. And it was controversial at the time because Richard Nixon never accepted guilt for the crime of duct taping a door the wrong way or whatever nonsense the deep state used to run him out of office. One of the most popularly elected presidents ever. I digress. So we've had it at moments of particular national crisis. We've had it in ways, Jimmy Carter pardoning the draft dodgers from Vietnam. Okay, there weren't a ton of prosecutions that were even really getting geared up for there. Can he do this? I don't know. It seems constitutionally dubious at least. So if the Trump DOJ does want to go after Biden, and not just Hunter, he's the street level guy. You want to go after the actual Biden family, the people who were ostensibly selling state secrets, who were benefiting, who were getting that 10% to 50% off the top. If there is appetite there to prosecute, I think you probably still could. I think Joe Biden is clearly overstepping his authority here. But this brings us back to the political reality as I spill my drink all over my studio. I'm just so fired up about this. This brings us back to the political reality, which is this was going to happen. There was no appetite to prosecute Hunter, even if Joe Biden had not done this. There's really no appetite to go after Joe Biden. Trump is saying, let's let bygones be bygones. Let's move on. Let's let the dead past bury the dead. Joe Biden probably voted for Donald Trump at this point. So I just don't think it was going to happen anyway. It's unsatisfying to people who view politics primarily as an idealist project with all sorts of purity, but that's not how it works. So I think, this news comes out. Joe pardons Hunter? Yeah. Duh. Okay. Let me reset my Leftist Tears Tumblr and let me tell you about Jeremy's Razors. Go to jeremy'srazors.com. While the progressive Grinches running woke corporations are tearing down tradition, Jeremy's Razors is here to help you save them. Cyber Monday deals are here. Save 30% site-wide. Stocking stuffers under $15. Shave, hair, and body bundles under $50. Plus, get free shipping on qualifying orders. Keep Christmas woke-free. Order now at jeremy'srazors.com. Some exclusions apply. See website for details. Shave like a true, proper, normal, conservative American. jeremy'srazors.com. Now, speaking of family, there are a lot of women who are really angry at Donald Trump. And they're so angry at Donald Trump that according to Newsweek, they are sterilizing themselves. First paragraph. It's not a procedure you would expect a 28-year-old to be planning, but for Lydia Eccles from Texas, having her fallopian tubes removed is the price she's willing to pay to ensure her reproductive rights. Listen to that Orwellian sentence. Listen to that complete Alice in Wonderland nonsensical sentence. Having her fallopian tubes removed is the price she's willing to pay to ensure her reproductive rights. To ensure her reproductive rights, she is going to ensure that she can never reproduce. That's the world of leftism. That's the world of political correctness and wokeism. That's the world of Alice in Wonderland. Newsweek spoke to 5 women who have either undergone sterilization procedures or plan to in the wake of President-elect Donald Trump's victory on November 5th, they all expressed fear that their reproductive choices will be taken from them under Trump's administration. If I am denied any rights in the next 4 or more years, I will not give them up without a fight, Eccles said. Newsweek contacted the Trump team and they didn't respond to these lunatic women. Okay. That'll show them. That'll show them, huh? Trump's probably losing sleep over this. Leftist women, insane leftist women, are sterilizing themselves to really show that mean old Donald Trump, to show Daddy Trump. I'm sorry, wait, did I say that? I just to show Donald Trump that he is mean and nasty. Women do this thing all the time. Women engage in self-destructive behavior in order to get back at men and often their fathers all the time. This is classic behavior. This is pretty extreme. Usually women, when they're angry at their dad, they just get some like ugly tattoo or something. Or they chop all their hair off or something like that. This is pretty extreme, to sterilize yourself. But this is further evidence that all liberalism comes down to screw you, dad. That's not an original insight. This is a friend of mine in LA pointed this out to me some years ago. It seems to be truer and truer. It all comes down to screw you, dad. I'm going to harm myself, and that will somehow really get back at you. And I don't think Trump is even going to read that article. Meanwhile, some other lib women are taking their anger out on their conservative family members by refusing to dine with them at Thanksgiving.
Hold on, let me check my notes. Yes. Don't want to have turkey dinner with the people screaming, your body, my choice. Make your own dinner, MAGA. Make your own sandwiches. Wipe your own tears. Troll amongst yourselves with Elon and leave us alone. You got your heart's desire, the president you dreamed of, and worship instead of Jesus. And this time, you didn't even have to storm the Capitol, smash the windows, or try to kill police officers or issue death threats to poll workers. See? You did it just by voting this time. Congrats. You got your way. And he even got away with breaking the law. Yay. But if you expect the 73 million who voted for the prosecutor, not the felon, and particularly the 92% of black women who voted for Kamala to give you a cookie for your vote, a trophy, a hug, a high five, you might be asking too much. If we want to eat with you, we will. But if we just want some peace over the holidays and we don't want to put up with your trolling while we eat our tofurkey, get over it. Stop acting like we owe you. And for God's sakes, stop whining. It's embarrassing. Our Thanksgiving. Our choice.
Our Thanksgiving, our choice. Just as incorrect as the line that Joy Reid is aping here, which is our body, our choice. The notion that you have a right to kill your child or something. Both of those statements are incorrect. Thanksgiving is not about your choice. Some of you, I suspect, had contentious conversations with your liberal family members over Thanksgiving. Some of you might not have been invited to Thanksgiving, or some of you might have had liberal family members decline to come to Thanksgiving. I've heard it happen personally. It seems particularly bad this year. Even the gate agent, I was speaking to a gate agent when I was at the airport flying to go visit my family, and the gate agent said, yeah, fewer people seem to be traveling for Thanksgiving this year. Or when they travel, they're going on vacation. They're not going to see their family members. It's very strange. Thanksgiving doesn't seem to be what it once was. That's what the gate agent told me. And I think it's because of this error, that fundamental error. Our Thanksgiving, our choice. No. Holidays are not about individual autonomy. You don't go to visit your family at Thanksgiving or Christmas or whenever because that is the thing that is most pleasing to you, the individual. It would probably be more pleasing to you, the individual, to go get a drink with your friends, or to not travel with lots of children, or to not see that cousin that you don't like, or that would probably be more pleasing to you individually. You go to holidays with your family because family is good. And family is the bedrock political unit. And the demands of family supersede your individual preferences, at least some of the time. That's why you go. That last sentence there tells you the whole story. Our Thanksgiving, our choice. If we don't want to eat with you, if we want to eat with you, we will. But if we want some peace, get over it. Stop acting like we owe you. No. You do owe your family things. You owe it to your family. You have obligations. It's not just all about you, honey. It's not all about you, sister. It's not all about the individual. This is why, though, there is no point in arguing with family members who don't want to have Thanksgiving with you. With the Joy Reids of your family, there's no point in arguing with them. You're going to be tempted to argue with them. You're going to be tempted to say, no, actually, you don't understand. Trump's immigration policy is actually the just and lawful immigration policy. Or, no, you don't understand. Actually, we don't want to trans the kids because we think it's also bad for the kids and because of this and that and the other thing. It's a losing argument. There's no point in arguing these things because you and the Joy Reids of your family fundamentally disagree over family. That's the issue. It's not any of the individual political issues that you might disagree on. It's the more basic issue. What is family? What are the demands of family? What is the good of family? Is family good? That's what you're disagreeing over. And you're not going to, maybe it's a much longer conversation to try to persuade this family member that family is good, but it's a much deeper, more fundamental issue. And if they say, screw it, I don't care about family. All I care about is me and my own preferences and my own comfort at any given time and then the exercise of my own autonomy, and that's the highest good for me. Okay, that's their first principle that they're starting from. You're probably not going to talk them out of it. Now, speaking of, holidays come from Holy Day, and speaking of holy things, potentially, I just sat down with a guy named Blake Healy, who claims to be able to see spiritual realities. We just had a very long conversation on my series, Michael and. Here's what he had to say.
I'd see angels and demons in about equal measure. There was this sense of separation. And even though I could identify that's something that might be scary, there wasn't any sense of immediate danger. I looked up, and instead of my mom, I saw this kind of shadow. As soon as I looked at it, it's kind of slunked into the crack, walked around to the edge of my bed. It kind of had these milky white eyes. Its eyes flashed, and I felt this overwhelming sense of fear. Absolute panic was just going through my body. It happened night after night after night for 3.5 years.
You have this question, which is, am I a highly functioning schizophrenic?
They talked to me about this concept that I hadn't heard of before that they called seeing in the spirit. Something in that recipe of expanding the options from either I'm going crazy or the devil's decided to ruin my life to this third option of maybe I have a gift that I just haven't learned how to manage yet.
This is your daily experience.
It is.
Do you see these things now, like right now?
While we're talking at this very moment.
What do you see?
Right now, I can see your personal angel standing right behind you, just behind your left shoulder.
Pretty spooky, huh? Well, maybe not. Some people are going to say there's no way this is true. This is crazy. However, in principle, if you believe that there is such a thing as the spiritual world, if you believe that there is metaphysics, for instance, then if you believe in principle that someone might have the charism of reading souls, well, maybe he's telling the truth. Only one way to find out, or the best way to find out, is to go check it out on the Michael Knowles YouTube channel or on DailyWire Plus, Michael and the Seer. Speaking of family, British politicians just voted to kill their grandparents. The UK Parliament has just approved assisted suicide by a vote of 330 to 275. Really dark stuff. Coming to America, it's already in some American states. There's going to be a push for this nationally. This has been a deeply wicked pathology that has been spreading in the West for some decades now. A priest friend of mine pointed out once that the Hemlock Society, which is rebranded, now the Pro-Suicide Society has some fancy or nice sounding, Death with Dignity or something like that. But they had books on killing yourself, and that bookstores would put it in the self-help section. Seems a little ironic. This has been spreading for some time, and the proponents of assisted suicide justify it in the name of dignity. It seems like a rather dubious dignity to me for one's last act on earth to be an act essentially of despair, of killing one's own self, of casting away the gift of life that you did not create for yourself, that was actually given to you by God. However, at the purely political level, pay attention to these debates, because the proponents of assisted suicide are going to justify it in the name of this dubious dignity that just coincidentally will save the state a ton of money. It's purely coincidence, but especially in the UK, which has socialist healthcare, the NHS spends a ton of money on end-of-life care. Any country spends most of its medical expenditures at the very tail end of life. So if you can end life sooner, maybe a few months or even a few years, or in some cases with assisted suicide, even a few decades sooner than you otherwise would, you're going to save the state a ton of money. Now, they're not going to make that argument because it exposes how dark the assisted suicide program really is, but that does always seem to accompany these bills. The New Atlantis has just reported on Canadian assisted suicide. They already have assisted suicide. They call it medical aid in dying, MAID, in Canada. Ontario's euthanasia regulators have tracked 428 cases of possible criminal violations here. So of people being pressured into this, of doctors not doing their due diligence, of doctors prescribing suicide in cases that would not merit it, even according to this wicked and expansive law. 428 cases of possible criminal violations. Ontario's euthanasia regulators have not referred a single case to law enforcement, according to leaked documents reported by the New Atlantis. So this is rife with abuse. They call it euthanasia. That alone is a wicked, wicked euphemism. Euthanasia means a good death. But in the classical and medieval understanding of a good death, this is the worst kind of death possible. Traditionally in our culture, we consider a good death to be a death where we know ahead of time that we're going to die, where we have some longer type of illness, where we are able to prepare our souls for death, for what comes after we shuffle off this mortal coil, where we are surrounded perhaps by loved ones and family members, where we demonstrate some courage and strength in the face of the fate that meets all of us on this earth, and where we demonstrate the theological virtue of hope for the life of the world to come. That's what was traditionally considered a good death. Now a good death is when someone bludgeons you over the back of the head or puts you out like Lenny put out George, or George put out Lenny, and you don't even see it coming. Or now in this case, you just get into a pod, fill it up with nitrogen, and asphyxiate. Is it only going to be these poor people who are suffering with crippling kinds of pain? No. In fact, it's almost never. It's almost never for them. This is what you hear for assisted suicide proponents, that it's really just about people who are in such crippling, brutal pain at the very end of their life, and they're going to shorten their life by 5 minutes, and it's going to put them out of pain, and isn't that a mercy? If there is one thing our society is good at, it is managing pain. We have made more technological advancements in palliative care, in numbing pain, than in probably any other field of science, of practical science. Okay, there is no concern about managing care or managing pain at the end of our lives. And this does not just affect the 107-year-old with crippling pain. There is a case in the Netherlands and in Belgium of physically healthy young women who had depression. So these are women in their 20s who say, I have depression and it's just so hard. Anorexics, women who have different psychiatric conditions, but even just kind of being a little bit glum. And they say, okay, please kill me. Life is full of suffering, and so I want to die in my 20s. They have no physical ailments, psychological ailments, spiritual ailments, and the doctors will prescribe them death and they will kill themselves. In the Netherlands, in Belgium. There was a case in the Netherlands of an elderly woman who was suffering from dementia, who was held down by her family while her doctor forcibly poisoned her. She was trying to smack the cup of poison out of his hand. She was resisting. She was shouting. She said, no, no, no. And the doctor, with the help of the family, killed her anyway. You're going to hear a lot of good arguments. You're going to hear a lot of arguments against assisted suicide. And they're going to focus on cases like that. And they're going to focus on the slippery slope. And they're going to say, look, this is going to take people who are already on the margins, people who worry that they're a burden to their family, people who suffer from depression, people who are already so vulnerable. They're going to be led to kill themselves because of this legal regime. And that's really bad. And sure, all of that is true. But Adrian Vermeule, excellent philosopher and scholar at Harvard, points out, opposing this policy, opposing assisted suicide on the grounds of a slippery slope is insufficient. because the left is just going to say, okay, well, we'll put some more regulations on it. We'll put some more safeguards. We'll make sure that the Belgian woman or the Dutch woman isn't actually held down and poisoned by her family. And don't worry, the courts already said that was a bad thing anyway. So don't worry, we'll put more regulations and it'll be fine. And then the opponents of assisted suicide have no argument. If all we do is argue about the slippery slope. What we have to do is argue in principle, fundamentally. Why has suicide been illegal basically everywhere for the history of our civilization? Why is suicide illegal in most of America today? Because we have no right to kill ourselves. Because life is not something that we make for ourselves. Life is a gift that we receive. We have an obligation to be good stewards of that life. Suicide is a crime not only against God and not only against the individual person, but against society. It's deeply scandalous. It leads to the spread of suicide throughout families and communities. And it removes a member of the body politic. It is contrary to the common good. It's just evil. It's just in itself unjust. And we have laws against all sorts of things that are in themselves unjust. And this should be one of them. This is the literal suicide of the West. My friend, Father George Rutler, had made a really good point. I was reading in a collection of his writings last night on my flight back from New York. He pointed out that in the end, if we have a society that is opposed to reality, reality is going to win. If we have a society, just take the case, even forget about assisted suicide, killing yourself toward the end of your life. Forget even about abortion, killing babies in the womb. Go all the way to contraception, the contraceptive mentality that has come about since the 1960s. Contraception is contrary to nature, and it's contrary to reality. We are social creatures. We are coupling beings. Love and marriage go together like a horse and carriage. And pretty soon you're gonna have a baby. This is a natural thing. If we oppose that, we will not suddenly dominate all of society in reality. Our society will just die. Ever since contraception has become widespread, our society has been dying. This is true not just in our society, it's been true in all sorts of societies. So, okay, great. Now everyone gets to have sterile sex, and our country can be run, in the case of Europe, by the Muslims who take over, and in the case of America, by other foreigners who take over, largely from Latin America, but from all sorts of other places, who don't practice contraception. Okay, that's fine. You want to oppose reality, reality is going to win. In this case, you want to oppose the reality that life is a gift and we actually have obligations and there's a transcendent moral order and you can't actually change that. You can't, through the tyranny of your own will, you can't rewrite morality. Oh, okay, you want to oppose all that? Sure, I guess you can. But if you do that, your civilization will die. And the civilizations that will live and endure will be the ones that don't kill themselves. That's how it's going to work. We have to oppose these things on principle. And the principles that we have to embrace and exalt are the principles that cohere with reality. The left wants to call us meanies because we say things that are just true. We say that marriage is about men and women together, that you can't have a marriage between two men or two women or three dudes and a billy goat. You just can't. It's not. Listen, I've spent my life in New York and LA, and I went to the greatest university in the world. I have no personal animus against anyone who has eccentric desires or whatever. But it's just contrary to reality. And reality is going to win out in the end. I'm sure people who are suffering from terminal illnesses or depression, I'm sure they have a really tough go of it. There's suffering in all sorts of parts of life, and some people suffer a lot more than others. I'm not denying that. But that doesn't give you the right to kill yourself. When young women become pregnant by some dirtbag who runs off and they feel like they've got no ability to raise their kids, I'm sure that's extremely scary. It's scary when a woman gets pregnant and she's married and and her husband has a good income and they have every material resource they need. Pregnancy is very scary. I don't deny that. That doesn't give you the right to kill your kid. Don't call me the meanie because I'm stating the obvious. Okay? And please don't call yourself good and forward thinking, because you are living in denial of reality and in contradiction of reality. Because to persist in that as a matter of public policy is going to kill the whole country. Now, speaking of radicalism in the Commonwealth and weird sex stuff, a Canadian town without a flagpole has just been fined for not flying a flag. This is the town of Emo. It's population 1,333, small little town. It's being ordered by the Human Rights Tribunal of Ontario to pay damages after failing to proclaim Pride Month as it was instructed to do in 2020. The town refused, the mayor refused. The tribunal ruled that Borderland Pride, this radical sex group, must be given 15 grand, 10 of it coming from the township, 5 of it coming from the emo mayor, Harold McQuaker. McQuaker and emo's chief administrative officer are required to engage in a re-education camp called Human Rights 101 and provide proof of completion to this weird sex group, Borderland Pride. And they also need to pay the fee. A reminder, even if you don't have a flagpole, they're not going to let you off the hook, okay? There's no playing nice and keeping your head down. The rainbow flag thing, the weird sex stuff, and really just extreme liberalism, the denial of reality and the exaltation of individual autonomy and subjective preference over reality and over objective truth and over the moral order and obligation. That is the official religion of our political elite, and they will make you bend the knee just as surely as any ancient Roman tyrant demanded that a Christian sacrifice to the false gods of the Roman Empire, lest they be eaten by lions. Your political elite will make you do the same. Unless we stand firm for principle, we do it in a way that is just and sanctifying. We pray to God for deliverance as he gives us more often than we deserve. I would not put your faith in these princes. This is going on in America's evil top hat right now. It will be coming here. In fact, it's already here. You know, our best deal of the year is not done yet. Cyber Monday is here. That means you can still get 50% off new Daily Wire Plus annual memberships. No codes required. Just head to dailywire.com/subscribe and become a member today for half the regular price. With Daily Wire Plus, you get it all. Uncensored daily shows with limited ads, live breaking news you can trust, and unlimited access to our full catalog of entertainment that's reshaping the culture. From the #1 documentary of the decade, Am I Racist?, to Dr. Jordan B. Peterson's incredible new series, The Gospels, plus so much more. It's all waiting for you. With your support, we will continue to fight the left and build the future. Join us now. Go to dailywire.com/Cyber Monday. My favorite comment is from Faya Productions 4630, who says, "Congrats on breaking X with that skit, Michael." Thank you so much. If you didn't catch it, it's the second episode, the sequel to the Conservative Uncle at Thanksgiving. And I posted it to, it got, I don't know, almost a couple million views on Instagram and whatever other platforms we put it on. But then Elon posted it shortly after I uploaded it. And so it's gotten over 100 million views on X. It's pretty funny. I did not write the sketch. My producers didn't mostly write the sketch. It was a member of my household who wrote the sketch, actually. Speaking of weird sex stuff, speaking of radical leftists, if you were watching the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade, you might have noticed that pro-Palestine protesters disrupted one of the great American traditions. I like Ronald McDonald just hovering behind them, waiting to snuff them out with his pillow or whatever he's holding. American capitalism is coming for you, you pro-Palestine leftists. He's going to snuff them out. It looks like a heart-shaped pillow, even funnier. Okay, I think I get the point with them. I think we get the point. This is the chief reason I can't get behind the pro-Palestine activism. This is the chief reason. These guys are not on my side. These guys think and behave in ways that are totally contradictory to the ways that a conservative or a normal person thinks and behaves. And they are totally identical with the ways that radical leftists, who are wrong about statistically everything, think and behave. So I just can't get on their side. It's not that I don't think the Middle East is a complex question. It's not that I don't care about persecuted Christians in the Middle East. I really care about persecuted Christians in the Middle East. But it's not that I don't even have an interest in the Arab-Israeli conflict that's been going on for 70 years or more. It's just that those guys aren't on my side. So I'm not on their side. Is that the transitive property? I think it might be. Okay. One last story I have to get to before we go. Speaking of crazy leftists putting on a show, Wicked has become a movie. You know Wicked? I remember I saw it when it was on Broadway back 20 years ago. And it was a big phenomenon, and it was a popular kind of new musical. And so 20 years later, they make it into a movie with some odd-looking sort of white woman and some odd-looking sort of black woman. One of them is, who is it? One is Aribo, Cynthia Aribo, I think. Is that right? Ariana Grande. I always confuse Ariana Grande and Selena Gomez and a few of those girls from that era. But in any case, they're both sitting on a couch doing an interview with Out magazine. These two women are holding hands, and here's what they had to say about Wicked.
I've seen this week people are taking the lyrics of Defying Gravity and really holding space with that and feeling power in that.
I didn't know that was happening.
I've seen it, yeah.
That's really powerful.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That's what I wanted.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I didn't know that was happening.
I've seen it on a couple posts. I don't know how widespread, but I am in queer media, so that's my,
That's really cool.
Yeah, but it's happening.
I think that it's really important for her in that moment to not allow the things that have hurt her, that have stripped her of her humanity, to keep her down.
Yeah, I just think they're holding hands. Wow, yeah. It's like, I think people are using the lyrics of Defying Gravity to, to hold space. Yeah, I mean, I don't know if that's true. I just saw a couple posts on like Twitter or something, but wow, oh, wow. They're holding hands and you will not defy gravity. You will not defy gravity. The left wants you to try to defy gravity. Actually, let me correct myself. Because there's an irony here. You can defy gravity. You can survive death. You can do things that seem impossible. We have a natural longing for that. We're mortal creatures with immortal longings. You won't do it on your own. And you won't do it contrary to nature. And you won't do it through your own power. God can help you do that. If you want to defeat death, it won't be in some laboratory in Silicon Valley. If you want to defeat death, it will be because the eternal God was incarnate, suffered death under Pontius Pilate, was crucified, died, and was buried, and on the third day rose again and ascended into heaven. That's how if there is any chance you're going to defeat death, that's how you're going to do it. You can in that sense, you actually can defy gravity. But if you try to do it by just running your head up against the wall of indifferent nature, you are going to fail. If you devote your life to opposing reality and opposing the creator of reality, you are going to fail. You will not defy gravity. It's Music Monday. The rest of the show continues now. You do not want to miss it. Become a member. Use code Knowles, Canada, WLAS at checkout for 2 months free on all annual plans.